At the hearts of every port operations are the people who keep it moving.
In shaping the culture of the organization, I would first take note of the human resource management function of the GPHA. As I say, realize that we did not have a solid job description. So we had to undertake a job description exercise. Too many people, what do you do? What are you doing? Everybody is doing something. People go to work, but really, can you hold somebody responsible for this particular job and appraise the person's performance and also promotion and all that? So we set out first to develop the job descriptions for the whole organization. And we had to involve a consulting firm to help the organization do that. Again, we had to look at the welfare issues, the welfare of the human resource issues. We need to also look at the discipline, in the system. The first welfare issue that confronted us at the time was having to do what you call overtime. The rapport between us and the union, I must say, was quite good, because we made them understand that us and them, it doesn't work. Unions against management against it, because it's the same Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. When the authority does well, we all do well. So they had come to understand the relationship. It was no longer the hostile relationship. We were all together. It's communication. It's always communicating so that everybody will understand. So once we communicated, they understood, went back to their people, discussed the whole thing. Nothing is going to be reduced, but except that you work out your base, the new base, and the 1.5 times. How much is it going to be? How can the authority pay? And GPHA is an organization which has to do overtime because of the 24 hours operations at the port. Handling cargo, stevedoring and all that. And then bringing in vessels. It has to be 24 hours. So overtime, we can't afford not to do it. And security as well. So that was the first test. We were able to manage that because of the communication, the human relations, the rapport that we had, the understanding that we are all in the same boat. It goes well for the organization. It goes well for everyone. So that was the first one. Now the second one was that after the merger, we had buses. The buses are still running. I don't know whether what I'm going to tell you about is still the rule. A lot of women were joining the buses. And women were standing, first come, first serve. They rushed to the buses. And then women were standing in the buses. So I was told about it. So I issued a circular. I discussed with management that this cannot be. I issued a circular that the first 6 seats of every bus should be for women. And if no woman is on the bus, a man can sit there. And it was pasted in the buses. And I hear that evening, people said, this woman, what does he want from us? Now he says we should give this, he says overtime, and now he says women should, take the first seats, So it was a gender balance issue, as well as the job descriptions and performance management, as well. So people had jobs, and management were taken through performance management system, how to be able to set targets and how to be able to manage the individual performance. The target for the port, that one is so clear because it's cargo that you are handling. But even that cargo, we had to bring in incentives to motivate them to even handle higher tonnages, which will make the turnaround time of the port shorter than it used to be. In port and shipping, the more a ship delays in the port, the more costly it becomes for freight to the country. Because as the ship is sitting at the port, the engines are running, the crew. So it's like they are, going at sea. So we also had to have training. In fact, there were 2 sets of teams which were sent to Singapore and to Rotterdam. I was part of the group which went to Singapore to study their cargo handling and how they motivate the tonnage, increase and all that. So we came back and we went to the trade unions, the reps of the unions as well. as I told you, we had developed a rapport. So we all need to understand, the problem at stake, that our ports, the handling of cargo at the port, the time was really not very competitive. And we had landlocked countries which could either use our port or use the port of, Cote d'Ivoire port or Togo port, because Mali and Niger are both landlocked countries, and they could use our ports and all that. And so we were able to go for the training, came back and implemented, this increase in tonnage, where I wouldn't have the right figures, but it's like if you're handling, let's say, 100 tons for your 8-hour shift, and you could handle, say, 120, 130, safety requirements being taken into consideration, the 30 tons on it we will share between management and the workers. So you take 1/3, management will take 1/3, and then 1/3 will be for managing the equipment of them. And it worked. And tonnages skyrocketed, because now they know that if they handle more than the tonnage they will see it, at the end of the month, their salaries. So these were some of the things that we took into consideration.
As the ports expanded, so did the responsibility of managing people, talents, and workplace culture.
HR does not only look at the present, but we look for the present, and then we look ahead into the future. What are the things, and what are the skills, and what are the technique, and what are the knowledge that we shall have among our staffs? So, in conjunction with our partners, the union and everything, we roll out what we call training and development program. So we prepare people in advance, even for the future roles. And when people saw that, we were preparing them for future higher work, so they realized that, if we did our best, and then we took our work seriously, and then we increased our knowledge, skills, technique, and everything, we stand the opportunity of rising. So with this, people became at peace, they relaxed, and then they worked hard, and then we got the best out of them to do all the activities that we do. And in fact, it has helped the organization. So HR roles in manpower, training, and development, i.e. preparing the people for future role. They saw themselves that they had the potential to be officers, they had the potential to be managers, and this thing was done through vigorous training programs, both local and outside. People had opportunity to travel outside, and because of that, they were at peace. So when we say the welfare aspect of staff is not only linked to maybe monetary, but when you give them the opportunity, knowledge, the exposure to Europe and everything, because our work is linked to international. There were times Delmas, they were looking at our productivity as against France, Le Havre, and at sometimes we're even beating them in terms of hourly productivity of this thing. So when we did all these things, people became open up, whatever good intuition in them became this thing, and then we mobilized all for higher productivity and efficiency for the port. I was employed in November 89. After going through, Mr. Nestagali, once Director General, was the Director, Chief of Training. Let's put it, Director was the Chief of Training. So they took us through as management trainees, 3 months classroom, and we did what we call the IPP, Improving Port Performance. It was a program prepared by UNCTAD, Improving Port Performance. So with all these things, I had the opportunity to study for my master's in Antwerp. That's 94, 95, right? So with all these things right. And when we came back, the knowledge that we applied or we studied and then we took on, we also brought it with our staff on the unit level, because I was the superintendent for K2. So we had to take them through. Sometimes we even organize in-house training for them. And by boosting the staff morale and activities, they also did their best. The important thing is for the HR, when the staff see that we are being fair in terms of promotions, in terms of whatever beneficial that comes to us, then the staff will be prepared to do that. With our partners, we had a very good relationship, symbiotic relationship with the unions as well. So we prepared a lot of things like employee savings scheme, whatever, and we were able to put before management that for the staff to have a peace of mind towards their pensions. If they contributed something, management could also add something. And when the staff saw that, even when they were exiting from the organization was thinking of them on pensions, they did all their best. So all these things are HR activities.
I joined the authority at the time the personnel administration was transitioning to the human resource department. And today, the function of the department, it's more strategic in terms of workforce planning, in terms of developing human capital, in terms of creating an aligned culture, and in terms of managing change in order to achieve the organizational goals. Culture will usually be set from above. The tone of the executive will largely set the culture, and then HR will influence by shaping the culture. In Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, fortunately for us, the executive are concerned about the values of the organization. Our values in terms of customer focus, values in terms of our commitment to employees, value in terms of integrity, adopting technology and cooperation. And the executive at every touch point with staff re-echo these values. The HR has also assisted in modeling these same values at any time that we interact with staff, at every point of contact with staff. And so these values are being emulated by staff. And I think we can see visible impact in the behavioral attitudes of staff.
For decades, behind every ship received, every cargo moved, and every milestone achieved has been the human resource that powers GPHA.